Oh, did you just call it? And he does! He leaves the
yard. The train to St. Louis. Vic Raschi stepped onto the cold concrete of St. Louis's Union Station. The air was a mix of diesel fuel, damp wool, and cigar smoke as porters shouted at one another across the platforms. The grand hall echoed with footsteps and low conversations beneath its vaulted ceilings, stone arches, and stained glass windows. The other Cardinals drifted through the station in small groups, laughing and trading stories from the train ride and spring training. Vic lingered behind, waiting for his trunk. Over the span of a few months, he had gone from the Bronx to St. Petersburg and now to St. Louis. A few months earlier, he had been one of the Yankees' celebrated Big Three alongside Allie Reynolds and Eddie Lopat, pitching October games before packed crowds at Yankee Stadium. 6 world championships, the pennant races, the pressure, the winning percentage. Few could match some of his achievements. In the World Series, he had a 5-3 record with a 2.25 ERA. Even though Game 3 went south thanks to Roy Campanella's solo shot, Vic still knew what it was like on the biggest stage in the biggest moments. And more often than not, he had come out on top. And then spring training arrived. One morning in Florida, a photographer asked him what he thought about being traded to the St. Louis Cardinals. That was how he found out. The Yankees eventually sent a telegram. By then, it hardly mattered. "It's baseball, I guess," Vic had told reporters. He was very happy to be a Cardinal, he told them. A trade was always a possibility. After all, players are at the mercy of the owners. But after 5 straight pennants? A porter rolled over his battered trunk and called his name. Vic grabbed the handle. He hauled the trunk out onto Market Street. Vic flagged down a black and white cab and headed north toward Sportsman's Park. St. Louis was not New York City. The streets were wider, the traffic thinner, the buildings lower. It seemed like every other building was made of red brick. Streetcars rattled through intersections, men in hats drifted in and out of taverns and lunch counters. It carried itself with the confidence of a place that knew exactly what it was. As the cab rolled through the city, Vic rested his hands on his knees and stared out the window. His legs felt good. Everyone had asked about his legs, and the surgery, and his age. People were squinting to see the expiration date on his back. The Cardinals believed he still had something left. So did he. At 35 years old, Vic wasn't coming to St. Louis to hang on. He wasn't coming to collect a paycheck. He was coming to win 21 games, just like he had done in 1949, 50, and 51.
Good evening.
St. Louis Post-Dispatch, April 15, 1954. Raschi fails to last 2 innings against the Braves. Vic Raschi's National League debut was a rough one this afternoon, as the Cardinals' big right-hander was removed in the 2nd inning, under fire by the Milwaukee Braves. The Redbirds gave Raschi a 2-0 lead against Warren Spahn, the star Brave southpaw, but the ex-Yankee couldn't hold it. In the 1st inning, Raschi walked 2 batters, and Joe Adcock, Milwaukee's rangy first baseman, lined a home run over the belt-high left field fence near the 320-foot mark at the foul line. Rookie Hank Aaron's double in the same frame was wasted. Vic probably wished the entire afternoon could be stricken from the record. Instead, the game became part of baseball history. While the St. Louis papers focused on Raschi's tumultuous National League debut, later generations would remember April 15, 1954 for a different reason: Hank Aaron's first major league hit. For Raschi, though, history offered little comfort. He had the history. What about right now? All spring, he had convinced himself that this season would be different. His legs felt stronger, the pain had eased, the Cardinals had given him the chance that he wanted. And after less than 2 innings, he was walking back to the dugout. Fortunately, Cardinals manager Eddie Stanky wasn't making any judgments after just one start. "I want to see him get over his overeagerness as quickly as possible," Stanky told the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. "He paced like a caged lion before the game. Some of that nervous tension can be good, but not too much. He's trying too hard." 3 days later, Raschi got the ball against the Cubs. He earned his first victory as a Cardinal. It wasn't a masterpiece, and it certainly wasn't the glory years, but it was something. Vic Raschi would not win 21 games in 1954. Those seasons were in fact behind him. He went 8-9 with a 4.73 ERA and 73 strikeouts. Still, he wasn't ready to quit. Raschi returned to the Cardinals in 1955 on a reduced contract, determined to prove he had more baseball left in him. Instead, spring training brought another setback. This time, it was his back. Doctors diagnosed a slipped spinal disc and warned that surgery might eventually be necessary simply to live comfortably as a civilian. For years, he had pitched through pain, and he intended to do it again, but some opponents cannot be beaten. After missing a month, Raschi returned only to struggle through 2 ineffective innings against Cincinnati. 2 days later, the Cardinals released the man they had brought in as the workhorse to bolster their rotation. "I've always admired Vic as a great competitor," said Eddie Stanky. "He proved himself a man, a real man, the way he took this unfortunate news." Raschi was signed by the Kansas City Athletics as one last hurrah, but it looked much the same as before, and the A's dropped him at the end of the season. Vic Raschi couldn't deny it anymore. He was done. At 36 years old, he went home to Canisius, New York, and retired from Major League Baseball on November 2nd, 1955. There's a certain irony in Vic Raschi's 1954 Bowman card. By the time packs were reaching store shelves in the spring of 1954, Raschi was already a member of the Cardinals. Bowman eventually acknowledged the trade later in the run, a single line on the back that said, "Traded to National League's St. Louis Cardinals." Everything else remained the same. The photograph still showed him in Yankee pinstripes. The card back and the bio still identified him with New York. When Vic Raschi had stepped off that train in St. Louis, the baseball card in a little boy's pocket said he belonged somewhere else. Maybe that was fitting. The Cardinals and Athletics had been his final stops in the game, but they were never really his home. Vic Raschi belonged to the Yankees baseball dynasty that had won 6 World Series championships in 8 years. That was the pitcher baseball remembered. The train had carried him to St. Louis, but in the end, he never really left the Bronx.